So good morning once again. So let us review the topics what you have discussed in the previous class, just to give a connection for today's discussion. So we have discussed about the SIC architecture. So followed by, we hope you recall the SIC architecture. Quickly, let me do that. So architecture means we have to look at the register set, the memory, the data formats, the instruction formats, the addressing modes, the instruction set, and the last input and output. The similar lines we have seen the architecture of SIC, which was having 5 registers: A, X, L, PC, SW. We know that they have internal representation in terms of 0, 1, 2, 8, and 9, which will be performing their own specific task. And second, we have seen the memory. Memory of SIC was 2 power 15 number of address locations, which was precisely 32 kilobytes. And we have seen 2 data formats of SIC being supported: integer and character. Character is to take 1 byte, and integer takes 1 word or 3 bytes. There is no floating point in SIC, that we should be very clear. And instruction formats, again, only one format from SIC, because SIC is a very, very simple version of the architecture what you have taken. And that supports only one instruction format, wherein we have a 24 bits or 1 word, 8 bits for the opcode, 1 for the addressing mode, so that X or G, X is equal to 0, X is equal to 1, remaining 15 bits for the address of the operand. And we have seen the addressing modes. There are 2 addressing modes depending upon the value of X. X is equal to 0, it is in direct addressing mode. If X is equal to 1, it is a index addressing mode. Then we have looked at the very sample set of instructions which will perform the basic activities in the processor, like addition, loading, storing, jumping, and stuff like that. Then we have looked at the input-output, which is processed using 3 instructions by name: TD, test the device; RD, read the data; WD, write the data, where 1 byte of data can be transferred at a given point of time. So not more than 1 byte. But if you want to do multiple bytes to be transferred, we have to have this TD, RD, WD in a loop structure, so that any number of bytes can be transferred. But nevertheless, only 1 byte is going to be transferred using the TD, RD, and WD. So this is what we have seen in the SIC architecture. And also we have started with the SIC XC architecture, wherein we have again discussed about the registers, memory, and the data formats of not data format. I mean, yeah, we stopped at data formats, I think, of the SIC XC. So having said that, let us discuss about SIC XC architecture, what we have seen earlier. Now we can go further with respect to the other points. Hope my screen is visible now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So let us see the SIC architecture, what you have discussed up to data formats. The registers of SIC XC. So SIC XC is advanced version of the SIC, and we all know that is upward compatible as far as the package is concerned, or architecture is concerned, and hence whatever we have in SIC, those 5 registers are also available in SIC XC. But in addition to that, there are 4 more registers in the name of B, S, T, and F, whose numbers internally are represented using 3, 4, 5, 6. So thereby we will be having 9 registers as part of the SIC XC architecture. Then coming to the memory, SIC had 2 power 15, and SIC XC being a higher version of SIC, it supports 2 power 20, that is almost equal to maybe 3 to 4 times of greater than of your SIC, which will be around 1 MB or 1 mega locations can be used, or address locations can be identified. So totally 1 MB memory is used in the SIC XC. Then coming to the data format, SIC supports 2, that is integer and character, whereas SIC XC supports those 2 plus floating point. So totally 3 data formats are supported by SIC XC. That's what we have seen earlier. Then nothing but character 1 byte, integer 1 word, which is 3 bytes, and floating point, which is 2 words, are 6 bytes. So those 6 bytes are typically of this form, which are going to have the floating point format, which will have a sign, a positive or negative sign. It will have a mantissa followed by the exponent. So here the same has been represented in terms of S for sign, fraction for the mantissa, and exponent for the whichever the value we are going to have for the better precision. So S for sign, 1 bit is taken. The mantissa part is 36 bits and 11 bits remaining are going to be given to the exponent. Totally we have a 48 bit floating point which is equal to 6 bytes. So up to this we have seen, even the quiz was based on this up to this part. Hope you all could able to do that, and the marks have been given to you and you can assess where you have gone wrong. So probably that makes you understand if you have understood some concepts may not be in a right spirit, probably it is time for you to have any queries to be cleared. So if you have any queries till now regarding quiz or the understanding, you can let me know, because I saw some of you getting 4 out of 5, 3 out of 5 in the previous test and the previous and earlier to previous quiz. If you have any doubts, you can let me know. We can discuss. Otherwise, if you are good to go, we can continue. A quick 2 minutes we can devote for the understanding of those quiz if you have any clarification required. Any clarification required in the quiz? The quiz is basically given to understand whether your concepts are clear. If you have gone wrong, probably either you have misunderstood or took a chance. So I don't want you to take a chance at this point of time. As I said, the first 2 modules are very important. If you understand them properly, the subsequent modules are going to be easy for you. So if you have any clarity of thought missing in the so far what I've discussed, so you have liberty to raise and get them clarified. Any of you having any issues, any doubts? May I have some input?
No, sir.
As I said, I'm able to see only screen. I will not be seeing what is happening in the background. Unless you voice something, I feel something wrong is happening. So some of you should voice. Tell me something.
Sir, no doubt, sir.
No doubts? So it is for all? Fine. So let us continue now. So having said, we have seen the registers of SIC, which are 9 in number, and memory 2 power 20, and data formats 3. Let us jump into instruction formats in sequence that are supported by mission architecture. Probably I need your attention here, because instruction formats of SIC are not in 1, it is 4 in number. If you look at SIC, there was only one simple instruction format, which is very easy to understand. Whereas SIC-XE, as you know, it is an advanced version of SIC. It comes with 4 formats, and those formats are 4 different types. First one is going to be 1 byte instruction. Second is a 2 byte instruction. Third is a 3 byte instruction, and fourth is a 4 byte instruction. To understand it better, I can draw your attention to your CO, computer organization, where the teacher would have discussed about different types of instruction, where 1 address instruction, 2 address instruction, 3 address instruction, 0 address instruction. Do you recall them? Able to understand what we are catching up now? It was discussed about 0 address, 1 address, 2 address, and 3 address instruction as part of CO. Precisely the same concept we are looking at this juncture as well. The 0 address means, if you recall that, 0 address means what? I am just giving a instruction, opcode to the program or the system, but I am not giving address. Then where the address should be coming from? Address should be taken from the intuitive registers what you have. The best example for 0 address is your return, meaning that when I call a subroutine, from the calling function, I will go to the subroutine, which is a called function. I will execute that and I will come back to the calling function. During that time, what will happen? From the calling function, when the control is passed to the called function, the return address of the calling function will be stored in the link register. So when I say return as part of my programming language of assembly, the program from called function will come back to the calling function. So return is only an instruction opcode. I'm not specifying any address. But where is the address now? Address is stored in the link register. We know the link register L, which stores the address of the address of the calling function, so that I can come back to the main function or the calling function and resume my work. If that is the case, we have a link register that is storing the address. So return is an example of a zero address instruction, meaning that we are not going to provide any address as a part of the instruction. We'll simply say the instruction. Similarly, one more example of a zero address is halt, HLT, or stop. I want to stop the program. These are the instructions available in the assembly language. Thereby, we can understand these are example of a zero address instruction. So that means we are not providing any address as part of the instruction, but address is required for any instruction to be executed. Thereby, the address is already stored in some of the registers depending upon the type of instruction we have used. If I'm using concept of a subroutine, it will be stored in the link register through return. If you're using a halt, it will be stored in the starting address of the program, because once you stop the program, you'll go back to the beginning of the program and start executing. So this is how the internal representation is there. That is a zero address instruction. Similarly, one address instruction. As the name says, one address instruction, I will be providing only one location. For example, ADD A or ADD 5, let us say. I'm going to add 5. But you know that addition can be performed only through a binary operator, and hence I require 2 operands. But what is my instruction is talking about? Add 5. I'm adding only 5. With whom? I don't have the other operand here. So that is the reason why we said accumulator is going to act as a source here. So when I say ADD 5, since ADD is a binary instruction, one value is taken already through the instruction, that is 5. The other value which is stored in the accumulator will be added, and the result will be stored back in the accumulator. That is the concept, or that is an example of a one address instruction, meaning which in the instruction you are going to provide only one value. The other value that is required to execute the instruction is stored temporarily or is stored in the register called as a accumulator. That is a process of a one address instruction. Next, we have a two address instruction. As the name says, two address, I want to add 2 numbers, add 5, 10. So 2 address I'm telling, I'm giving 2. So for performance of addition operation, I require 2, and hence I need not depend on anything else. So 5 and 10 will be added, and result will be stored back in the accumulator. Similarly, we have a 3 address instruction. For example, I want to add 3 values, add 10, 20, 30. So if that is the case, we are going to provide the values directly in the instruction. So depending upon the type of operands, the number of operands what we are going to provide, we can categorize the instruction as a 0 address, 1 address, 2 address, and 3 address. This is what the recall we are looking, which you have already studied in the computer organization. Now let us come back to our discussion, which is a SIC-XE instruction formats. We have 4 formats, as you see here. One is a 1 byte format, second 2 bytes format, third one 3 bytes format, and the fourth one is a 4 byte instruction format. So let us see each one them specifically. The first one is 1 byte. So SIC-XE can have 4 formats of instruction. Those instructions can be categorized either into format 1, format 2, format 3, format 4. If it is a format 1, meaning that it is a 1 byte instruction. If it is a format 2, it is a 2 byte instruction. If it is a format 3, it is a 3 byte instruction. If it is a format 4, it is a 4 byte instruction. So that is a concept of a type of instructions we have in SIC-XE. Let us see what is a format 1 or a 1 byte instruction. As the name says, 1 byte instruction, it is equal to your 0 address instruction just now we have discussed, meaning that I'm not going to provide any address. I'll just give the opcode, because you need to tell which instruction we are going to execute. If that is the case, the entire 1 byte is required to represent the opcode, the instruction, return, halt, start, end. We have just listed some of these examples. They require only instruction to be specified. As we discussed, return means we're returning from a called function to the calling function. We require the data of address to be returned, which is stored as part of the link register. So link register is going to be acting here as an address location, so that I can come back safely from a called function to the calling function. But in my execution of the program, I will not write the address, because I will not be knowing as a programmer what is my return address, and hence I will leave it to the operating system. Thereby, I am going to provide only return as a statement, which is an example of a 1 byte instruction. instruction. Similarly, HLT or STP, both are same. That is, we are going to stop the program for temporarily or stop the program permanently. If that is the case, probably we can halt or stop the program. Again, when you do that, your control is given back to the beginning of the program. That means when you use HLT or STOP or STP, depending upon the type of architecture we have, the control is taken back to the beginning of the program, because beginning of the program address is already loaded into the system and system will take care of that. So address is again taken intuitively. So start and end. Start means what is the beginning of my program? As we discussed in the previous class, we do not have a control over the memory of a system, isn't it? Because we as a user, we cannot specify I need to store my program, or we cannot demand. Rather, we can only specify, may be possible, but you cannot demand. You may say my program should be located at 8,000 location or 10,000 or 15,000. It's fine for the system, but you may not be guaranteed whether the program always can be loaded at that location. So you can only specify start address, but internally start address might be different. That is the reason why start is again a simple opcode 1 byte instruction. It might take value of your specification or it might not. It is given to the system. So whatever the case, it is only a 1 byte instruction. Similarly, end, it is similar to HLT, stop or end, both are same. So like that, these are the instructions, very, very specific to the nature, where 1 byte instructions are going to be only instruction oriented, where address is not specified. Address will be taken intuitively, simply because we do not have a control over the address of these type of instruction. That is an example of a format 1 or a 1 byte instruction, which simply comes with a simple opcode. And let us look at the format 2, which is a 2 byte instruction. So 2 byte instruction is very important here, because now we will see why your 0, 1, 2, 8, 9, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers are there. Why not something else? Or what is the link with this? Let us see now. So format 2 is an example of a 2 byte instruction. You can clearly see the difference between the previous format 1 and current format 2. That is, in the previous format it is only opcode. Now we have a opcode plus register 1 and register 2, because the example for format 2 is only to deal with the registers. So I need your attention here. Whenever format 2 is used in your programming, what is the clarity you should have with you? We are going to use only registers as far as the SIC XC are concerned. What are the registers we have in SIC XC? A, X, L, PC, SW, B, S, T, F. There are 9 registers. So can you use all the 9 registers here? Again, there is a restriction, because all are not in the control of a user. For example, accumulator we can use. Index register we cannot use, depends on the system. If you are using index addressing, X value will be stored. If you are not using index addressing, X cannot be taken. So you cannot play anything with the X register. So L, link register, again, if you are using a subroutine, link register will be updated. If you are not using, it will not update. So and hence user do not have any control over the register L. Next, PC, program counter. As we know, program counter will be sequentially progressing towards the next instruction that is going to be executed, and hence you and me cannot have any control over that. Then SW, which is a status, but depending upon the type of previously executed instruction, the data of a status register will keep changing. So out of first 5, A, X, L, PC, SW, we can only use accumulator. Remaining 4 is not in our control. So which register I can use here now? As of now, A register. Then we are left with 4 more registers, B, S, T, and F. I can use base register for my base addressing purpose. S and T general purpose, I can exclusively use them in this case because they are only for me. I can use for any purpose. And F for the floating point register, I can use. So there are only 5 registers out of 9 which you and me can use in the instruction format 2. That means accumulator I can use, base register I can use, S and T general purpose registers I can use, and the last floating point register I can use. Those 5 registers I can make use of in this format 2. I cannot use all the registers just because they are available, because as a user we do not have a direct control over X, index register, L, link register, PC, program counter, and SW, the status word or the condition code register. Hope it is clear. I have some answer.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So there are 5 registers out of 9 which we can use under this concept of a format 2, which is for a 2 bytes, and hence opcode is for the 1 byte, 8 bits. Remaining 8 bits or 1 byte is distributed equally for 2 registers, one register and the other register. So 2 registers I need to use in the format. I cannot use anything other than the registers in format 2. On the other hand, if somebody says, I'm using format 2 of SICXE, what you should understand? You're using 2 registers. What are those registers? They can be A, B, S, T, and F. That's all we have to understand from this. Next, why it is only 4 bits for the register 1 and register 2? Why not 3 bits? Why not 8 bits? Why not 5 bits? Why it is only 4 bits? So any answer for this or any inputs? Why only 4 bits for your register 1 or register 2? Why not 3 and 4 or 5 and 4 or 5 and 3? Anyhow, 8 bits are there. Why it is 4 and 4? Is there any logical discussion behind this, or simply they are distributed equally? Any reason? Any reasoning rather? Do you see some rationale between here? Why it is 4, 4? Any inputs? Why it is 4, 4? You take it as it is 4, 4, or you need to have some understanding why it should be 4. I'll give you a link for you. So go back to the registers. We have 9 registers: 0, 1, 2, 8, 9, 3, 4, 5, 6. So any reason now why it is 4 here? Try, nothing wrong, because you should understand this. Because 4 is not simply given just because 8 by 2 is 4. No, there is a reason behind that. Any inputs?
So register is 24 bits each register.
Yes. Okay, register is 24 bits, fine. That is the size of the register. But in instruction, what do you specify? You specify only the address, no? That means which register I'm going to. If I say I want to use B register, so I need to specify the address of B register, because for me it is B. Internally it is not B, it is 3. If it is S, it is 4. If it is T, it is 5. If it is F, it is 6. If it is a PC, it is 8, like that. So I will be representing that number here. So length of the register is fine, but 24 has nothing to do here, because that is totally different. But why I am specifying 4 only for register 1 and 4 to another register 2?
Sir, it contains a general purpose register.
Okay, let it be. Okay, now Mike, now I have another question now. What is we are going to specify here then?
Address, sir.
4 bits means what? We are going to specify the which register, no? It is A or B or S or T or F or whatever the registers we are going to use. We are not going to specify anything other than that. So precisely it is an address or the location.
Sir, it's like the link register, which is of the like register number 2, and where
Okay.
it stores the written address.
Okay, how does that influence the value 4 here?
Sir, it's nothing but like 8 divided by 2. I mean the link register. which is of number that. And if we divide, we may get the register numbers 4 and 4.
No, why we
That
have
is
to
how I
divide?
understand.
Why need to divide?
Sir, all those numbers can be represented using 4 bits,
Which numbers?
like register numbers.
That is 0, 1, 2, 8, 9. You
Yes.
mean to say that?
Yes.
No, be louder.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. But I can represent 8 numbers also, no? 8 bits also. Why only 4 bits? I can represent 1 also in 8 bits, 16 bits, 32 bits. Why only 4? Good. Your answer is 70% right.
Sir,
Yeah.
SIC, that is extra machine character, which has only 9 registers.
Okay.
So the opcode is 8.
Hmm.
So
Leave the opcode. Opcode is separate. Let us not go to opcode because that is something fine. I am worried about the register 1, why 4 bytes? Or register 2, why 4 bits? Or any register, why 4 bits?
Sir, because it is 32 bit
Srinivas has
storage.
given a 70% answer. You think around that.
Sir, for 8 32 because 32 is the storage of XE mission architecture.
32 what?
32 bits.
32 bits. Where 32 bits we have not discussed, no? It is only 24 bits register. 2 power 20 is the memory size. So memory is different. This is just a size of a register. This is just instruction format now we are looking at. So 32 we never discussed, no, as part of any what to say size in SICXE at least. Fine. So since Srinivas has given some answer, let me continue with that. So register 1, register 2 here are nothing but the addresses, meaning that in any instruction what we have to say, where from my operand is taken. That you know that. Because when I say add 5, 10, I should say where my 5 is. Or when I say add A, B, where my A or B are available. In high level language, you say int A is equal to 10, int B is equal to 20. And when I say add A, B, A is 10, B is 20, they get added. All this stuff we are aware of it. But internally, how do the system will take care of that? For you, it is A and B. For the system, it is just a address location. A will be stored somewhere in some location in the memory. B will be stored somewhere in the memory. When you perform A plus B, A and B contents as per the address location, they will be considered, addition operation will be taken care and stuff continues. So internally, it is address, that is location where my value is stored or operand is stored. So coming to register 1 or any register in our SICXE, we have numbers starting from 0, 1, 2, up to 9. So minimum number is 0, maximum number is 9. To represent any number between 0 to 9, what is the minimum number of bits I need? To represent any number between 0 to 9, what is the minimum number of bits I require?
4 bits.
To represent 7, how many I need? To represent a 7, 0 to 7, how many bits I require? Might have studied, no?
3, sir.
3 bits, that is 000, 001, 011 up to 111. So 111 means 7. So if you want to represent any value between 0 to 7, 3 bits is enough for me. But anything beyond 7, that is from 8 to 15, I need to have 4 bits. So what is my number in SICXE? Minimum is 0, maximum is 9. To represent any register between 0 to 9, I require 4 bits minimum. Maximum you can have anything. I can represent the same data in 8 bits, 16 bits, 24 bits, 32 bits, 256 bits. But minimum is 4 because my memory is very, very important. I cannot waste the memory. So to represent any number between 0 to 9, I require 4. Why 0 to 9? Because this is the number what I will be using for the registers in my SICXE. So to represent these values, I require 4 bits. That is the reason why we have taken 4 bits for the register. That is the logic behind that. So this register one, why it is 4 bits? Simply because the numbers that are used internally to represent these registers will have from 0 to 9. To represent 9 or 0 to 9, any number between these two ranges, we require minimum 4 bits. If that is the case, I need to have a 4 bit for a register 1 or register 2, any register for that matter. Hope it is clear now. Any doubts?
Yes, sir.
Yes, done. Next. So this is the second format. So third format, some more complication. Let us see how it is. Now, before we go to third format, so format 1 is only 1 byte, which is totally reserved for the opcode. Address is taken intuitively. Examples are written, halt, start, end, stop, and stuff like that. Second format, a 2 byte format. 2 byte format takes, as name says, 8 bits for the opcode. Remaining 8 bits equally divided into 2 registers. Thereby, the format 2 is always used with the registers of a SIC XE, not anything else. Examples can be ADD R1, R2, MUL R1, R2, move R1, R2. So whatever the action you do, but you should be doing between only 2 registers. So these registers can be either A, B, S, T, and F that we have seen. Now format 3. Some more change, because format 3 is nothing but a 3 byte instruction, which is slightly complicated, and it has 24 bits. So in this, you need to have some attention. The category of format 3, again, let us have 3 categories. One is the opcode, second one is addressing mode, third one is the displacement. So I need your attention in all these concepts. Look at the opcode now. In the previous format, the opcode is given 8 bits. Now the opcode is given 6 bits. The remaining 6 bits are distributed to N, I, X, B, P, E. Right now it may look Greek and Latin for you, but as you see, as you discuss, probably you will understand what they are. So N, I, X, B, P, E, which specify the type of addressing, and last one is the displacement. So be careful with this word, because next format when you go, I will have a different name here. So there are chances that you may get confused, but let me see how best we can avoid the confusion so that you can understand better. Now we are in format 3. As name says, it is a 3 byte instruction where we have a 24 bits. These 24 bits are divided 6 bits for the opcode, 6 bits for N, I, X, B, P, E, each one. Then displacement 12 bits. So displacement is nothing but the offset that is given for a data away from the current location. For example, if you take an array, index register, if I take an array of 10 elements whose base address is 5000, and if it is an integer array, I will have 5000 as a base address. So next, every element will be displaced 2 bytes away from each other. So from 5000, the first value will be 5000 plus 2. Next value will be 5000 plus 2 plus 2. Next value will be 5000 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. Like that, you keep on adding 2 if it is an integer. You keep on adding 4 if it is a floating point value. Like that, we have the various values being taken away from the base address. So thereby, we can have an offset or a displacement. So displacement is, as name says, from the base address or from the main location, how far you are. If that is the case, we call that as a offset or a displacement. You might have seen in physics also, the displacement of an object from an original location, how far it has traveled, that is going to be your displacement, your speed or the velocity that we used to use. Same word we are going to use, how far your element from your main location or the base location or the base address. So coming back to the discussion here. So 6 bits for the opcode, 111 bit for N, I, X, B, P, E, which are 6 in number, total 12. Remaining 12 is given to the displacement. So this is the format of a format 3. So what is this NIX BPE now? This NIX BPE, as name says, they are bits like your condition code register. They represent the type of addressing we are going to use. So if you go back to SIC, SIC has only one format and very simple, only two addresses, x is equal to 0, x is equal to 1. If x is equal to 0, direct address. If x is equal to 1, index address. That's what we have seen in the previous SIC instruction format. But now, here in SIC XE, since it is an advanced version of SIC, obviously some complexity has been added. Some flexibility also comes with the complexity. Thereby, this complexity is in terms of now NIX BPE. So depending upon what value we have for NIX BPE, we can judge that this particular instruction is based on this addressing. So addressing modes, if you recall once again, we have a direct addressing, we have an indirect addressing, we have an index addressing, we have a register direct addressing, we have a register indirect addressing, we have a base relative addressing, we have a PC relative addressing, we have auto increment addressing, we have auto decrement addressing, we have immediate addressing. There are so many addressing which you might have studied again as part of your computer organization. Nevertheless, you can recall them just to understand what they are from the SIC XE perspective as well. So NIX BPE, here we'll talk about direct addressing, indirect addressing, immediate addressing, index addressing, base relative addressing, PC relative addressing. There are 6 addressing modes that we are going to get from these 5 bits. So NIX BP. Let us see what these mean for me. So let's have a look at this table now. We'll discuss anyhow. So when N and I value, if they change in a different setup, I can have 3 addressing modes. Similarly, based on the value of E, I can say what type of format it is. Right now, don't worry about value of E. Now B and P, based on the value of B and P, I can have 2 addressing modes. And based on the value of X, I can have another addressing mode. So totally 6. Indirect, direct, immediate, base relative, PC relative, and index addressing mode. So I will come back to this table later. But right now, we have these addressing modes that are going to be possible under SIC XE. So SIC supported only 2 addresses, or 2 addressing modes rather, whereas SIC XE is supporting 6 addressing modes. So that's what the difference what we have to see. How these 6 addressing modes are possible? Because the complexity of SIC XE is more compared to SIC, and format 3 is one example of supporting all these 6 addressing modes. So NIX BPE, which is 1 bit each, depending upon their value. If it is 0, it will take some meaning. If it is equal to 1, they will take some meaning. Accordingly, we can have 6 addressing modes in total from SIC XE. So examples of this can be, it is a format 3 byte location. It is equal to your to address instruction, where I can say ADD 10,20, MUL R1, location 2. Like that, I can keep on. Here you can use registers also. You can use any location. Whereas in the case of format 2, it is only registers. You cannot think of using any other values. But here you have a flexibility. You can start using whatever the data you want. So you can do between memory to processor, or memory to memory, or memory to processor to memory. All 3 are possible here. So example can be ADD, MUL, SUB, all location 1, location 2, meaning 2 addresses or 2 values we have to provide. So now, any doubts here? Format 3? No doubts? Okay, so let me go to the next one. That is instruction format 4, and the last format, which is a 4 byte instruction. So do you see any change here compared to the previous one? 4 bytes means 32. Previous was 24. The previous one we had 24 bits, 6 for opcode, NIX BPE, 6 for this each bit. Remaining 12 was the displacement. Now in this format looks similar. Opcode is 6, NIX BP is 6, total 12. Out of 32, if you remove 12, we are left with the 20. So 20 bits are there. But look at the name. The name is not given displacement, but the name is given as the addressing. Address. This is what we have to see. An example also, there is no change. The previous format 3 also, I have used the same example. Here also, we are going to use the same example. So here you need to have a clarity. Then what is the difference between format 3 and format 4? Is only a size or anything else? Why I need to have a different format here when almost opcode is 6, NIXBP is also same here, no change. They're also having 1 bit, only address is different here. Probably to understand this, I need to discuss with you about the type of memory one can address. Let us come back to that. So before I continue here, let us do that exercise, or let us understand that concept. Take a memory now. Memory is very, very huge, as you know, and you keep storing the data in memory, and you do not have any idea where the data is stored. But one is guaranteed, that your data is being stored somewhere as per the von Neumann concept. Fine. But where the data is, you need not worry, because as long as our work is done, we are not going to bother about that. But internally, system need to take care of when it comes to memory management. So we have a territory. For example, when you say I have a C drive, D drive, E drive, F drive, I have a partition. So whatever I do in C drive is not known to D drive, and vice versa. So why this partition is done? That is only for a proper management of memory. Because if you keep everything in one drive, searching, retrieving, storing will be too heavy process. Thereby, we partition the given disk into 3-4 parts, so that we can selectively arrange them in a way you want, and you can only go and search the specific drives as per the requirement. So that is the reason. It's only from the convenience point of view have done, and as well to speed up the operation. Instead of searching the entire disk, you can search only in one of the partition, whereby you can get your data in a quick time compared to the complete search of the system. So while doing so, we have a boundary here. For example, my boundary is C drive, or my boundary is D drive, my boundary is E drive. So when I put my data, I will be putting in a D drive, let us say, all the data in the D drive boundary, let us say 200 GB, or 200 GB, or whatever I have reserved. So like that, if you go to E drive, where I have given 100 GB, all my data will be put in that 100 GB partition. That is just to give an idea how partition works. Similarly, internally, there are 2 categories of a program execution. So program execution comes with a sequential execution or a branching of execution. What is sequential execution? You take a 100-line program, each line one by one they will be executed. So once my first line is executed, I will go to second line, third line, fourth line, like that. I keep on executing. Somewhere if I see a branching statement, I will jump from that location to another location, execute that, and come back. So in a sequential fashion, we normally do not have an issue. But when there is a requirement of jumping from one location to another location, execute that and come back to my main program, similar to what we do in subroutines, then we need to be a bit careful. That means from one specified location, you are moving temporarily somewhere in the memory and coming back after that execution to your normal location. That movement or control movement from one location to another location is going to be a complicated task internally. For us, it is easy. You call a function, function gets executed, you'll come back to the main function and program continues. But internally, system has to involve so many steps. What are those steps? As an engineer, you should be knowing that. So here, 2 things will come into picture. One is the program counter or program relative or program counter relative addressing, then base addressing. So program counter relative means what? We know the program counter. Program counter always takes in a sequential order, one after the other, one after the other. If I am at location 2000, next location will be 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, and like that till the end of the program, your sequential execution will be taken care. That is not a problem. But when it comes to base addressing, you are going to add base addressing from the additional location perspective, or having the operand loaded at a different location. That's what I said, the boundary. When something is beyond the boundary, how do you access that? You can access them only by going outside your boundary. So program counter has a boundary whereas a base addressing has a boundary. Let me quickly show that slide for you. Look at this. So addressing modes is one, which is a concept that is relative to that particular part. So if you look at that, addressing modes are going to be of various categories, and two which are important that will enable us why it is called a displacement, why not what you call address is what it is going to be for us. So when you're talking about program counter relative, so program counter means you are at one location, you can traverse either to right side or towards the left side. Why it is towards right side, left side mean now from one location, let us say 5,000, I can go to the increasing order 5,001, 5,002, 5,003, 5,004, which is a positive number, or I can move in the lesser side, that is 4,099, 4,998, 4,990. So 5,000 is my base location. I can go both the ends. For example, in arrays, you can reverse the numbers. Let us say normally you write for I is equal to 0, I is equal to less than or equal to n. So I can also write for n is equal to, for I is equal to n, I is less than or equal to 0, or I is greater than or equal to 0. That means your reverse order you are going to print. In that case, what happens? Your PC is going to move in the reverse direction. It will start from 6,000, then -1, -2, -3, -4. So PC relative has the flexibility of taking the value both positive direction as well as the negative direction, because the direction is going to be required for PC, because without that you cannot traverse in both the direction. Otherwise it will be only like a single linked list. You are moving only from the one direction. That is not going to be possible. So PC relative addressing, if you look at the numbers here, they are going to have 2048 to 2047. Please observe this value minus. So minus 2048 to 2047. What is that minus? As I said, PC relative need to go towards the negative as well as to the positive end. Whereas when it comes to base relative, base is specified by me. System is not going to have base. I am going to specify if required. So when I specify that, okay, if my address is beyond 2047, what should I do? That means you are moving from, just to give an example, some C drive to D drive. You are going beyond the boundary. So plus 2047 is within the C drive, but I want to go to the D drive, let us say. I have no control now. I cannot go. That means if any program is having access, I'm just giving an example of C and D drive, just to you to understand how the data is going to be accessed. In practical, you cannot move from C to D drive when these programs are there like this, but I'm just giving an idea how this PC relative, base relative can be distinguished now. So PC relative is within the boundary, whereas the base relative is outside the boundary. So boundary means up to 2047 on the higher side, minus 2048 up to lower side. So anything negative values if you want to deal, you have to deal only with the PC relative. Whereas in the case of base relative, it is not for negative values, but it is to increase the boundary. Meaning that if you want to access a value beyond plus 2047 location, you cannot do through PC. You need to go to the base addressing. Why I need to do this? Because my data in memory is stored somewhere away from my current data, 2047 bytes away. If it is within 2047, I have no issue. I can still go with the displacement. But when it is away the 2047, then I have no control. I need to go to the base relative. When you are using that base relative, or when you are going beyond your limits, probably then we have to go to the format 4. So format 4, as name says, it is not a simple type of addressing. It is a bit complicated version. We call it as an extended version of your addressing modes, or extended way of looking at your instruction format. That is the reason why it is given as a address. Displacement means within the boundary. That means I have a PC, I can go towards right side of the PC, or I can go towards the left side of the PC. But that is a displacement because some boundary is specified. Whereas address, I have no boundary. I can go away by boundary to some address. That is the reason why it is called as an address. When I say address, I have limited interaction or limited control over this. It is away from my control. Whereas when I say displacement, it is still within my boundary. That's what we have to keep in mind. So format 3 is within the boundary, whereas the format 4 is away from boundary, and hence we say it is a extended version. That is the difference between format 3 and format 4. So when you use format 3, it is well within your location or control of a PC. When it is away from PC, then I need to go for a another extended version which is beyond your control, beyond your memory. Control means what? It is your memory locations. Then I need to go for a extended version which is a format 4. Thereby the E, what you see here, NIX BPE, is going to tell us, if you look at this table, if E is equal to 0, because E is there in both the formats. It is there in format 3, it is also there in the format 4. If I use E is equal to 0, I am using format 3. If I am using E is equal to 1, I am going to use format 4. So depending upon the value what I have for E, I can say it is either format 3 or I can say it is a format 4. Similarly, if I have B and P, if B is equal to 1, P will be 0. If P is equal to 1, B will be 0. That means you can have relativity either through PC or base. You cannot have both together. So when I'm talking about a PC relative, my base will be 0. When I'm talking about base relative, my PC will be 0. So if B is equal to 1 means P will be 0. That is called as a base relative addressing. When my P is equal to 1, then obviously B will be 0. I will be calling it as a PC relative. And you know that when X is equal to 1, it is indexed addressing. Next, left with the remaining 5. These three are very important for us. So when I say N is equal to 1, I is equal to 0, both matters here. When N is equal to 1, I is equal to 0, N stands for indirect. So indirect addressing. Next is both are 1. N is also 1, I is also 1. This is going to be direct addressing. In other case, we have N is 0, but I is 1. I for immediate, then I call it as a immediate addressing. So nothing to worry at this point of time. It may look confusing or complicated for you. We'll discuss again in the next class to give more emphasis on this. But nevertheless, what you have to understand at this point of time is there are 4 instruction formats in SICXE. Format 1, format 2 are very simple. Format 3, format 4, where we need to have some attention. So format 3 is a 3-byte instruction where we have a 24 bits, which is well within the boundary of the program counter, where 6 bits are for the opcode, next 6 bits for the NIX BPE, remaining 12 bits are going to be displacement. Next, coming to format 4, as format 4 says, it is a 32 bits, where again 6 bits for the opcode, remaining 6 bits for the NIX BPE. The leftover 20 bits are not displacement, but they are the address. Why it is address? Because we are going away from the boundary or a comfort zone of SICXE. Thereby, I cannot take a PC relative. I need to go for a something else, maybe base relative. Thereby, my values are increased from 2047 to 4095, so that I can stretch further and still have my values being taken into my program. If that is the case, I need to go for a extended version wherein I have N is equal to 1, I is equal to 1, and E is also equal to 1. That is called as a extended mode. It is not an addressing actually. This is another way of looking at it. It's a direct addressing only, but it is a away from the or beyond the control of your system. So this is how we have seen as far as the addressing mode, sorry, instruction formats are concerned. So any doubts till this? Any doubts? Okay, I will stop at this point of time, so we can continue in the next class. But before that, please go through these concepts, and if you have any doubts in the first 10 minutes of the next class, we can discuss and continue further, because I need your attention in the concepts, and because these concepts, as I said, they're very important for you to understand the further concepts of your system software. So devote some time for this, understand. If we have any point of time, any doubts, probably you should be able to clarify them and move on. Okay, so I will start attendance now. So meanwhile, if you have any doubts, you have time, you can discuss with me. May I have attendance? Asta?
Present, sir.
Abhinav?
Present, sir.
Aishwarya?
Present, sir.
Ambarish?
Yes, sir.
Anu?
Present, sir.
Arbaz?
Present, sir.
How are you understanding, Arbaz?
Yes, sir.
Understanding?
Understand.
Able to understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Arjun,
Present, sir.
Ashok, Ashok, Binita, Bhargavi,
Yes, sir.
Bhargavi.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Bhavisha,
Present, sir.
Chaitra,
Present, sir.
Chatterjee,
Present, sir.
Diksha,
Present, sir.
Deepika, LG,
Present, sir.
Deepika MB,
Present, sir.
Murli Krishna,
Present, sir.
Gangubai,
Present, sir.
Guria Kumari,
Present, sir.
Harshit,
Present, sir.
Sunjar,
Present, sir.
Kavya,
Present, sir.
Kishore, Lata,
Yes, sir.
Manisha,
Present, sir.
Manjunath,
Yes, sir.
Nayana,
Present, sir.
Nilanjan, Nilanjan, Nishant,
Present, sir.
Pavana. Any reason why Pavana is not attending?
Sir, she left college.
Oh, okay, okay. Pavitra,
Present, sir.
Maithili,
Present, sir.
Priyanka,
Present, sir.
Pavan Kumar, Akash,
Present, sir.
Rajeshwari,
Present, sir.
Rakesh,
Present, sir.
Ramya,
Present, sir.
Rashmi, Ravishankar, Rizwan,
Present, sir.
Vishal,
Present, sir.
Savita, Savita, Sneha, Shruti,
Present, sir.
Sneha,
Yes, sir.
Spurti,
Present, sir.
Vinidhi,
Present, sir.
Srinivas,
Present, sir.
Sunil, Vaishnavi,
Present, sir.
Vinny.
Present, sir.
Yes. So I'm done with attendance. Have any doubts? Vinita. Okay.
Present, sir.
Okay. Ashok. Okay. Fine. If you don't have any doubts, probably we can wind up this. We'll meet you tomorrow, 4th hour I will take, 11:50.
Sir.
Pawan. Okay, okay. Fine. Thank you then. Yes.